listening to the international hit show, The Baby Names Podcast. And here are your hosts, the Moss Sisters.
I'm Jennifer Moss.
And I'm Mallory Moss.
And we're the founders of babynames.com.
And we're sisters too.
Yay, I love that.
Yes, me too.
So our first segment is always interesting names we found since the last episode. Mal?
Well, you know me in sports. So today we'll talk about Broncos names for boys. Go Broncos. One of the most famous players on the Broncos is Von Miller. That's spelled V-O-N. I like that name, although if you are in a region that has Von Supermarket, it may be especially unusual, but maybe they'll think your baby's an entrepreneur.
Maybe.
Two running backs are Theo and Royce Freeman.
I like those names. Those are cool.
Yeah, I think my favorite, although some might think silly, is linebacker Josey, spelled J-O-S-E-Y. And there's also nose tackle Shelby Harris.
What's a nose tackle? Is it when someone goes up your nose and around the corner?
Well, beats me.
I thought you were the sports person.
Well, I don't know what a nose tackle is. Okay, those are my favorite Broncos names. What do you have this week?
Well, in response to your names, I like Vaughn, as in Vince, V-A-U-G-H-N. It sounds just a little more elevated than Van. And Van, V-O-N, that means of, like Baron von Fusshausen or whatever.
Who's
anyway,
Baron von Fusshausen?
I just made him up. Okay, so, well, I was watching the TV show Catfish, don't judge me, and there was a woman named Infiniti with an I, and I really wanted to hate it, but I actually found myself kind of liking the name. But I would probably use the Y spelling, the traditional spelling of the word, not the car maker spelling, because I'm not a brand names, baby names person. And because it's a dictionary word, I would not use it if you have a dictionary word surname like we do. Infinity Moss does not sound appealing.
Sounds like a backyard.
I know. But something like Infinity Delacroix is delightful.
Well, it sounds like a character in one of your mysteries.
It just might be. So the topic of the week and the end of season 2 is top baby names of 2019. And first I'm going to explain how the list is compiled and how it's a little different from the U.S. Social Security list that comes out around Mother's Day in May. So we compile our list by the names that are added to our members' favorite name lists. And there's a little algorithm that goes on how many people search for the name as well. So it really is measuring the trends of what's happening with all the names during the year. Now, our demographics, I should go over, is 60% United States. And then after that, it's United Kingdom, India, Canada, China, and Australia as the bigger portion of the 40%, and then practically every other country. Our average user is age 25 to 34. This is interesting, 66% female, but 20 years ago when we started the site, we were at 81% female.
Wow.
Yeah, so apparently males are now being more interested in the baby naming process, which I think is really amazing.
I think it also might be because of dads being married to dads.
Right. That too. It's more acceptable for gay marriage and adopting or having their own babies. So definitely. So first we're going to go over the top 10 names and we're going to discuss the meanings and maybe why they're trending. Number 1, Charlotte and Liam. And now Charlotte and Amelia and Liam and Oliver have been flip-flopping from 1 and 2 in the top names since 2011 on our baby names charts. And this goes to show you how our name lists predict actual birth trends, because Liam just hit number 1 in births in 2018 and Charlotte is still number 6. Now, the other thing I should explain, and I've explained this before, is that the Social Security list does not combine stats for different spellings of the same name. So, for example, Emmett with one T and Emmett with two T's, we consider that the same name. It's just an alternate spelling.
Yes.
But because they don't combine the stats, it doesn't really show how popular a name would be. So, for example, back when Aiden was the big craze, it never hit number 1 in the U.S. birth charts because AN and EN were separate stats. But combined, it would have been number 1 for like 5 years. So let's go over some of the girls' names. I love, personally, the name Charlotte. I always have. I felt it was really feminine without having the IE or diminutive ending. Obviously, one of the most famous Charlottes is Princess Charlotte, born in 2015 to the British royal family. And that really catapulted the name.
I really like the nickname Charlie, too, for a girl. I think that's really cute.
Right, and that in itself has become a popular name.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've got Amelia, another one of my favorites, and I combined the spelling with Emilia because it's basically different spellings of the same name. However, as you know, Emilia Clarke with an E is a cast member on Game of Thrones, and that name, I believe, has had the Game of Thrones effect in catapulting that up to the top of the charts.
Absolutely. And she's a very popular actress and in a new movie.
Cool.
Yeah.
I like her. She's a badass.
Me too.
Number 3 is Violet, and this follows the trend, the new trend we've been seeing in probably the past 12 to 14 months of flower names hitting the charts on the girls' side. Others in the top 100 include Daisy, Dahlia, Juniper, and Lily. Hazel is also a flower, and I'll be talking about that a little later.
Yeah, well, speaking of Game of Thrones, number 4 is Arya, A-R-I-A or A-R-Y-A, which is the spelling of the Game of Thrones character. She's also a badass and a young badass, and I think people really like her name for a few reasons. One is the strength of the character, and then also it's just a beautiful name.
It's a musical name.
Yeah.
It means a solo in operatic terminology. So it's beautiful. It's it follows kind of the Amelia pattern with an A at the beginning and an A at the end, which brings us to our next name.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, just one other thing about Aria. It's my prediction that it's going to get to number 2 next year. So let's watch.
Yeah.
All right. So number 5 is reflective of our Disney names that we spoke about in our last episode. So if you missed it, definitely go back and listen. And that is Aurora, like Princess Aurora. And then the variation Aurelia, A-U-R-E-L-I-A, is also in the top 100, but dropped from 2018.
Mm-hmm. And Aurora was Sleeping Beauty, by the way.
Yes, absolutely.
Better known as.
And then number 6 is Ava, A-V-A, which is truly a beautiful name.
I'll take number 7 is Olivia or Olivia. And again, I'm kind of on the fence on whether this is the same name, but I truly believe that Olivia with an A is just a respelling of Olivia. And that trend is still holding strong with Oliver being the boys' version of the name, but we are seeing a little dip. So it has that it's so in, it's out effect.
Mm-hmm.
Then there's Vivienne, with Vivienne, and Vivienne. E-N-N-E, V-I-V-I-E-N, and V-I-V-I-A-N, we combine. It first became popular when Brangelina had their daughter in 2008, Vivienne Jolie-Pitt. Actually, it's Vivienne Marceline Jolie-Pitt. Marceline is Angelina's mother.
Pretty name.
And Vivian, with an A-N, is also Julia Roberts' character in Pretty Woman.
I don't know if Vivian from Pretty Woman would be an influencer just because she was a prostitute.
Yeah, maybe, but it is still a beloved film. Anyway, Hazel kind of became popular from the book and movie Fault of Our Stars.
And also because it's an older name, and that's far into the trend.
Right. It follows that grandma names. It's the name of our grandma. And then I was really surprised at number 10, which has been rising fast, and that's the name Nora with either an A or an AH. My college roomie was Nora O'Sullivan. Rapper and actress Aquafina's real name is Nora Lum. And I loved her in Crazy Rich Asians, by the way. She was really great.
Didn't see it.
Oh, you've got to.
Didn't see it.
The name was originally from Eleanora, so maybe that's why it's risen in the charts, because Eleanor has become pretty popular in itself.
I really like Eleonora as a variation of Eleanor.
Yeah.
But I'm really big on vowels ending a name.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay. So for boys, we know that Liam is number 1. Mm-hmm. It's a semi-royal name as it's short form of the name William, like Prince William. Also, Liam is the name of the Prince William-like character on the TV show The Royals, which I know you watch.
Oh my gosh, it's so trashy, but it's so good. So Elizabeth Hurley plays like the Queen of England, and all she does is walk around going, "I'm the Queen of England." She says that 5 times in every episode. It's really funny. It's so silly. Okay, but I'm the Queen of England.
Well, I guess if I were the Queen of England, I might say that a few times too. Okay, number 2 is Oliver.
Oliver.
Staying steady and flip-flopping with Liam. I think it's had its day, though.
I think so. I mean, it's so popular. People aren't using it anymore, but it's a steady name. It's an older name, and it works. And Ollie is cute.
Ollie is cute, but I'm not a fan of Oliver. Then there's Theodore, like Theo Riddick that I said earlier, as a Broncos player. Up from number 8 last year, and I'm wondering, is Theodore the new Oliver?
It might be.
And then we have Declan. I really like this name, Declan, a nice Irish name again. Elvis Costello's real name is Declan Patrick McManus. Declan Harp is the name of Jason Momoa's character in the TV show Frontier.
Yeah, that might be a big influence on that name, Declan. I like it too. Henry is the formal name of Prince Harry, so that's another British royal name. And I love Henry because it's a family name for us. We have a lot of Hanks in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Owen and Finn are great Irish Celtic names, holding strong, sticking at number 6 and 7, the same as last year. Finn being INN or FYNN. Number 8 is Caleb, and that's one of what I call the biblical replacements. They're more unique biblical names that are replacing the more traditional, like John, David, and Michael, that are actually dropping on the charts. And I'll talk about that later, too.
I think the biblical replacement sounds like a great band.
It does.
Number 9 is Emmett, Emmett, started becoming popular about 10 years ago and slowly rising on the charts. It's also a Twilight name, or a name from the series Twilight.
I'd really like to do a Twilight names episode because they've been so influential on baby names and sticking too.
Okay. Number 10 is Benjamin, a solid name with a childhood nickname of Benji or an adult nickname of Ben. I think Ben has a resurgence after Ben from Parks and Rec. Also, Ross's son from Friends was named Ben.
Yeah. Now we're going to go over our favorites of the top 100, which are on our website now, babynames.com. It's right on the homepage. It says click here to see the top names of 2019. So make sure you review all the top 100 names. Some that I love: Iris, another flower name, and it's the daughter of one of my good friends. Another fave of mine is Ophelia, Ophelia. It's a Shakespeare name. We had an episode about that. And it's Greek, meaning helper. There's also a popular UK actress named Ophelia Lovibond. How great is that name?
I want to be Ophelia Lovibond.
I know. I tend to like nature names, so I love Wren, W-R-E-N, inspired by the bird. And we mentioned Kaya in one of the last episodes, K-A-I-A. It's like Maya with a K, and that's been hitting the charts too.
You could also spell it K-A-Y-A.
Yeah, I think that's really pretty. For boys, of course, Mateo's becoming popular. Rowan is a great gender-neutral name. And then another one I saw just hit the charts because I love the actor. Tobias, T-O-B-I-A-S. And we've seen the rise of actor Tobias Menzies. He's a British character actor who was Edmure Tully in Game of Thrones. Mm-hmm. He plays 2 parts in Outlander, my new obsession. Oh my God, you guys. I binged and I cannot wait for the new season in February.
Ooh, that was good, Jen.
Thank you. And Tobias just premiered in season 3 of The Crown, replacing the Doctor Who dude to play an older Prince Philip. Now, coming back across the pond, the name Lincoln is holding strong at 39, a big up from 63. And then I'm going to mention this name, Atlas. My friend Cheryce's grandson is named Atlas, and we reported a couple weeks ago that actress Shay Mitchell named her daughter Atlas. And this is another one of those instances that parents thought they were choosing such a unique name and then started hearing it all over the place. That's what Cheryce said. Now, on our charts, Atlas has jumped from number 68 to number 43 in the last year, indicating a strong upward movement. So it's not going to be so unique soon.
Right. I have a question. How do you spell Cheryce?
She spells it C-H-E-R-Y-C-E.
That's an interesting name spelling, kind of like Cher.
Yeah.
So my favorite names from the top 100 include Arya. Mm-hmm. And of course, we know that's a heroine from Game of Thrones.
As soon as she, spoiler alert, did the you-know-what and like saved the whole country.
You know what?
You know what? I was like, Aria's going to be number 1.
Yeah, I think so too. I also love that Hazel and Eleanor are in the top 15 as they are our grandmother's names. Although Eleanor's initial name or her first name was actually Henrietta. Haven't seen that climb.
Not yet. But since Henry is popular, that might be on the charts. Everyone start naming your kid Henrietta.
Okay. Number 27 is Ruby, which I think is completely adorable. And then there's Mila or Mila, which is at 39. And that could be influenced by Mila Kunis.
Oh, definitely.
And of course, there is my favorite girl name, Luna, coming in this year at 16. For boys, my favorite names include Jasper, another Twilight name, Gavin, Mateo, and Leo, of course, because I am a Leo. We all know that. Interestingly, none of my favorites come from the top 20, unlike my favorite girl names. I'm also a fan of the traditional names Alexander, Andrew, Nicholas, which come in all over the place from 13, Alexander, to number 80, Nicholas. And I have a fondness for these names for several reasons, but some of them are because they are family names, my first husband, and my high school prom date.
Okay. Now, some names that are just below 100, so they're hanging almost on the charts. Rowan is number 123 on the girls' side and number 66 on the boys. So that's one of those gender-neutral names that's becoming popular for both. Calliope is at number 141 on the girls' side. I love Ember and Cordelia. They're really pretty at 142 and 145, respectively. And Pearl is at 147. I can't imagine a baby named Pearl. It's so cute, though.
She's probably so cute.
Right after that is Kailani, Kailani. And I don't know where that came from. There's a character named Kailani played by Vanessa Hudgens in 2012's Journey 2. In it, she plays a Palauan teenager who runs a helicopter tour guide business with her father. I don't know why that might have brought it into pop culture.
The times that I've heard the name, it was pronounced Kailani, which would make sense for the Hawaiian influence.
Oh, right. Kai, meaning ocean. Yeah.
Kailani Crane is a figure skater from Australia who was in the 2018 Winter Olympics. And if I remember correctly, there was a child beauty pageant contestant named Kailani who was very popular. Not that I ever watched such a silly show.
Oh, okay. So that definitely, those two are a little more current and probably have an influence on the name onto the charts.
Yeah.
For boys, really surprised that Hugo is at number 117. I didn't think that would become popular. Rhett was in the top 100 for 2017. That didn't quite make it for 18 or 19. But I'd like to see that come back onto the charts. I like it because it's a Gone with the Wind thingy. I've always loved the name Spencer, as in Spencer Tracy, or in honor of Princess Diana, because that was her surname. And Spencer is at number 130.
Well, I love number 101 for girls, Abrielle, Abrielle. And you know that I'm a sucker for French names. It's so pretty. Just like Gabrielle without the G. Elodie, speaking of French names, Elodie, and Willow are also close to the top 100. And then there's Quinn, which is an interesting name that is unisex and has become so popular.
I think Quinn is from the TV show Glee, because there was a character named Quinn. She's kind of the mean girl, but then had the heart of gold at the end.
Looking further down the list, some really unique names that jumped out at us are Jennifer.
Elliette. Elliette, like Elliot, but with kind of the more feminine ending Ette. I thought that was interesting. Saskia. Gaia, as in Gaia the Earth. Bernadette. Kimber, without the Ly. Thora. I love that name. It's such an old-fashioned name. Iphigenia, Iphigenia, Amethyst, Ameline, Ameline, it would be a great alternative to Amelia, and Odette, Odette. For men, I liked Hamish, Lysander, Phineas, and that's the son of Julia Roberts, Byron, Keanu is interesting. Fergus, Briar, and what really surprised me was Loki. And I know where it comes from, obviously, the Marvel movies. But isn't Loki a bad guy?
I don't know. I didn't watch him, so there.
Or just like kind of a mischievous god. I don't know. I think he's the antagonist.
Okay. Well, I think it's interesting on your list that Briar was in the boys list because Briar Rose, also a Disney name. And then on your list, you have Lysander, which is a Shakespearean name, but it's really interesting that people would use it. I'm not a big fan of Lysander. Hamish, or Hamish, I think is funny because Hamish is a word for acting really Jewish in an affectionate way.
Oh, really? Interesting.
Yeah. He's so Hamish.
But not derogatory.
No, it's not derogatory at all.
Oh, okay.
It's affectionate. Let's see. Female names, Marin, of course, for singer Marin Morris. Clea.
I have a friend named Clea.
Clea, I know. Beatrix, like English author Beatrix Potter, or similar to Princess Beatrice. Hadley, Persephone, which I think is a kooky name.
I like it.
One name I do like is Zuri, Zurie. And then there's Winnie, like Winnie the Pooh.
Well, I like Winifred. If you're going to use Winnie, use Winifred. Use the full name. But
I hate Winifred. All right. So for male names, we have Odin, again, another god. We have lots of gods.
Yeah.
Odin, Crew, Crew, and Daxton, Daxton. There's Niall, Niall, and I wonder if it's influenced by our British fans. There's Bowie, Bowie, probably for David Bowie, who unfortunately passed recently. Linus, like from the Snoopy character.
I think Linus has become popular since the Peanuts characters are kind of out. I don't think the younger generations feel that they're so beloved as our generation did. And so it'd be more identified for us to be like Linus with his blankie. And they don't think of it like that.
Okay, all right. And then there's the name Kian.
Kian?
And one of the things we talk about in other episodes is that visually looking at a name can really hurt, I think.
Clint.
The name. Yeah, like Clint, exactly. And I think Kian, really, when you look at it, it looks too much like clan.
Yeah, it could be misinterpreted.
Yeah.
So now we're going to talk about naming trends we're seeing for 2020. And definitely on the girls' side, I talked about this before, flower and nature names are trending, and they will continue to be trending. Mm-hmm. So we've got Violet, number 3, Hazel, number 9, Lily at 21, Ivy at 23, Ruby at 27, Iris, Rose, Wren, Autumn, Daisy, Dahlia, Willow. And then beyond 100, we have the actual word for flower, Flora, Azalea, Amber, Meadow, Raven, Fern, Clover, Poppy, Magnolia, Emerald, Linnea, after the botanist Linnaeus, Zinnia, Bryony, although Briony, and the flower is Bryony, Posy, and Marigold. So definitely seeing a trend there.
Okay, and so for boys, we have the traditional biblical names for the first time in about 100 years that are declining on the charts, while there are more unusual biblical names climbing the charts, just like Jen said earlier. We have Caius, Caius, Caleb, Levi, Elijah, Silas, Elias, Nathaniel, Roman, Gideon, Jude, Josiah, Isaiah, Micah, Ezekiel, Malachi, Jeremiah, Solomon, Zechariah, Obadiah, Nehemiah, and Moses. That's cute.
So yeah, in this, for the first time, David is down at 101, Peter's at 104, and Michael at 112, which is kind of unprecedented.
Yeah.
Also, the 1900s old-fashioned names trend on the girls' side, like Mabel, Eleanor, and Cora, just started hitting the boys' side now, with names like Felix, George, Fred, Harry, and Oscar. Funny how both Oscar and Felix made the charts.
Like the Odd Couple.
Yeah, Otis, Wade, and Emmett. Those are really kind of grandpa names, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. And there are the hyper-masculine names on the charts that are dropping a bit, but still include Jameson, like the liquor, Hunter, Axel, Ryder, Remington, Riker, which I would never name a baby because of Rikers Island, the prison, Sterling, Colt, Jet, Maverick, Magnus, Gunnar, Creed, after the movie character, of course, and Diesel.
After Vin, probably.
Yeah.
Diesel. And it just sounds like a bodybuilder. And so to round out the segment, I want to talk about how the internet and our current culture has changed naming trends. The turnover now is more frequent. So, you know, for example, the name Jennifer was number 1 for over a decade. But now names are hitting the top and dropping more quickly. And we believe that's because now people have more access to the popularity charts, and we can deliver the popularity charts almost in real time. Now, back 20, 30 years ago, a chart was compiled by either a newspaper or somebody studying name trends, and they'd have to go to birth certificates. Then they would write the book. Then the book would come out, and that would be like a 2 to 3 year delay. So by the time a parent who was expecting a child, looked at those popularity charts, it had already been 3 years old. So even if they were trying to avoid the top 20, then they'd still be late. So now people will see what's on the top 10, top 20, and start avoiding those because the trend is to have more unique names now. And the statistics support that. So 50 years ago, in 1968, 42% of the boys born in the U.S. had a top 20 name. That's almost half. And so it shows conformity. 25% of the girls, though. And now in 2018, only 13% of the boys have a top 20 name and 12% of the girls.
I also think parents are less worried about their kids being teased. Our culture has shifted to acceptance, and nonconformity is okay now. Bullying rules and laws are in effect, so parents are a little more comfortable giving unique names to their children instead of worrying about them fitting in.
Yeah, that's true.
Listeners out there, did you have a baby in 2019? And if so, what did you name her or him? Any surprises? Any feedback? Write us at podcast@babynames.com. We love hearing from you, our listeners, and we personally read every response.
We do.
And now it's time for Celebrity Baby News.
Little People Big World stars Zach and Tori Roloff have welcomed their second child into the world. Their daughter was born on November 19th and named Lila with an H, Ray, R-A-Y. Lila joins Big Brother Jackson, born in 2017.
Reality star Jamie Otis, who starred in The Bachelor and Married at First Sight, has revealed the gender of her second child, a boy. Apparently, a name has not been released yet, but they have one daughter, Henley Grace, Henley, born in 2017.
And because Jennifer likes to give me the Duggar news, which we all know annoys me, Josh and Anna Duggar of Counting On fame have announced the arrival of their sixth child together on November 27th. A girl named Mariella Hope, Maryella. Mariella follows the M naming convention of the family as she becomes the third girl, joining sisters Meredith and Mackenzie, and her three older brothers, Michael, Marcus, and Mason.
Twilight star Kellen Lutz took to Instagram on Thanksgiving to share some extra special news. He and wife Brittany are expecting their first child together. The couple has recently celebrated their second anniversary. And in the 2008 movie, can you believe it's been 11 years already?
No.
Kellen played Emmett Cullen. That's one of those Twilight names like Esme and Jasper that have held steady on the baby names charts for a decade now. And by the way, Cullen itself sits at number 332 on the boys' side.
Okay, maybe we do need that Twilight episode.
Yeah.
Becca, which is a cute name, Beka Martinez, who competed on The Bachelor, announced that she's expecting her second child with boyfriend Grayston Leonard. It was only 9 months ago that the couple gave birth to their first child, a daughter named Ruth Ray de la Luz Leonard, born on February 2nd of this year. Becca shared the reasoning behind her daughter's name. She said, Ruth equals Grayston's grandmother's name in one of her favorite biblical stories. It's Hebrew for friend or companion. And Ray, because Ruthie Ray is too damn cute. De la Luz is Becca's dad's middle name, Spanish for of the light, a tribute to her Mexican heritage. It will be interesting to see the thought behind the new baby's name, too.
Johnny Galecki of The Big Bang Theory and The Connors has welcomed his first child with girlfriend Elena Meyer. They chose to name their son a gender-neutral name, Avery. Avery is currently number 74 on the girls chart and number 162 on the boys chart.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, that's really interesting. Yeah.
I like it. I mean, it started as a boy's name, but so did Ashley and Courtney.
And Mallory.
And Mallory, too. Yeah. Okay, so our last segment is when we take letters from you, our listeners, and we have one about our last episode. I'll take it. It says, "Hi, I was halfway through your Disney names episode waiting for a specific thing to come up, and it did exactly as I expected. You talked about the name,
It's
Merida,
Merida.
not Merida, and mentioned the name it is based off. I laughed because the very reason they made up Merida was because the name married was thought to be unpronounceable by those outside of Scotland. I adore the name married, and it's high up as a middle name possibility for me, as my granny was called Margaret, and we were very close. Anyway, the name married is pronounced Mairead. Just a heads up." Okay, now we know, Mairead in Scotland. "Thanks for the awesome podcast work. Really enjoy having something names related to listen to. Love, Abby from Scotland."
Okay, Abby, thanks for writing.
Yeah, and thanks for correcting our pronunciation. We're very American-centric here, so thank you. We appreciate that.
And I like the name Merida because it is definitely a girl fighter, another heroine. I am less fond of married, but I think in Scotland it's probably just fine. I think it would be
Mairead, she said.
Mairead. Oh, I'm sorry. And I will like to spell that Mairead.
Right. Take the second one.
Okay, dear Moss Sisters, I noticed that your site has the name Adair listed as a boy's name only. Is it really only a boy's name? I have seen it lots of places as a girl's name. Actually, the only Adair I ever knew of was a girl. I asked because I had just put it on my list of possible middle names. I don't want to give my little girl a boy's middle name. Sincerely, Cynthia R.
Well, it's neither. You're right. Adair is actually from a surname. That's now used as a first name as well. And historically, surnames were given to boys as first names to denote his lineage and family tree on the mother's side. However, now many surnames are being given to girls as well, like Madison, Harper, and Harlow. So I have gone in and changed the gender assignment of Adair, and I made it unisex.
And by the way, speaking of Scotland, like Abby from the last letter, Adair is the Scottish form of Edgar, meaning wealthy, or it could mean spear, or it could mean a wealthy spear.
What do you think about the name Adair for a boy or girl, Mel? Sounds like a deer to me, like doe a deer.
I think it's a fine name for a boy and a girl. It really just sounds like one of those names that's a surname in the middle name.
Mm-hmm. I think she can use it. I think, Cynthia, you can use it for a middle name no matter what, though. I think you can go ahead and do that. We'd like to take this last moment of the season to share with you that we lost our sister Kate this past week. She was diagnosed with stage 4 pancreatic cancer back in January of 2018. The doctors gave her 6 to 9 months, and she was a fighter. She took 22.
Yep.
She did fight the good fight with a lot of faith and positivity.
As one of our members of the board of babynames.com, Kate was also a lifelong educator, starting her teaching career in special ed. She then taught kindergarten for over 35 years and touched the lives of so many kids and families in her community. She's even taught kids of the kids in her previous classes. Kate finished her teaching career working in English as a second language. She adored teaching English to the Spanish-speaking kids in her community, and the kids adored her.
They really did. When Kate retired from teaching, she built a stained glass studio in her basement to pursue her art. Her stained glass work is stunning, and she only made them as gifts, never to sell. Then she combined her love of teaching with her art by giving stained glass classes for her small town. And one woman posted that she didn't even want to learn stained glass. She just wanted to spend time with Kate.
That's how special she was.
Yeah.
She brought fun and joy to everyone who knew her. We love our big sisters, Sue and Kate, and we know that Kate is still listening with us.
Thank you for tuning in to our second season of the Baby Names podcast. We had a good one.
Yeah.
And we appreciate our listeners so much. We'll be back after a short hiatus with season 3 starting in 2020. Have a wonderful holiday season and much love from the Moss family to yours.
Bye, guys. See you next year.